What is up, CineNerds? You were going to say that first, weren't you? I interrupted his groove.
I thought about it, but you know what? He did it pretty well that time. So
That time.
I am JP, and I am your local werewolf for the night.
And I am Mark of the Beast, Ryan. Anyways, what did you choose this week for us, JP?
This week I picked one that had a very controversial history in the horror fandom, but it's not my favorite werewolf movie, but it is one of my go-to werewolf movies. It is Wes Craven's Cursed.
Wes Craven's 17th film, Cursed. A little extra fun.
And it was cursed.
And he means that literally. So this movie is not a bad movie at all. I'm going to give first impressions. I'm just going to go right into it. Okay?
Go ahead. And had you seen this one?
I had seen it. Again, this is most of the movies that I watch, because life, right? I'll watch it once, and unless it's like a staple, like a Empire Strikes Back, and it's on in the background, or it's on whenever I feel like it, I watch movies once. This is a second time watch, and this is, again, years later, so we're talking almost 20 years ago. So going back into this, though, I very vividly remember this, because I did enjoy it the first time, but I didn't know the backstory to all the drama that went along with this movie. So that, to me, is far more intriguing and entertaining than the actual movie itself. The movie was not bad. The movie was great in the sense of there's a story there. There is werewolves happening. The werewolf practical effects, when they used practical effects, were solid. When they did the CGI, it was garbage. But the bulk of the movie was not horrible, but I definitely was left wanting to know what could have been, because there's a lot of footage. Apparently there's two, just to give a little backstory before I dig into the dirt, there is probably two more films worth of footage beyond this hour and 37 minutes
with a vastly different cast.
Yes. So they had already done this entire cast and then scrapped it and restarted it with some of the primary people and replacing a lot of the primaries too,
because they couldn't get the people to come back to refilm, because the studio wasn't happy with the film, and they wanted the gore to tone down too.
I'll just tell you right off the rip, just going to this, the cast that got cut from this, that filmed for this, because this went on for years, where they were back and forth about this movie before they'd release it. But the cast that got cut out of this: Omar Epps, Corey Feldman, James Brolin, Mandy Moore, and Skeet Ulrich, who you guys know all too well from Scream, because that's Wes Craven, you know. But yeah, so just hearing that, I was intrigued and started going down the rabbit hole of this film, and it became more alluring in that sense because of this.
And there are cuts of those other versions that exist.
Everyone that I talked to online.
It came out a few years ago, maybe a handful of years ago, that I can't remember who it is, but somebody that worked with Wes has working copies of those films, but they were like just unfinished screenings that they were, screening, I guess, to the execs, and basically they were unreleasable, was where he left it. And I think it's been kind of said that even that footage, a lot of that footage is not available anymore to even try to recut, because I know that there was hopes that maybe they could be a recut version of those films and maybe get possibly released. I know Scream Factory was basically saying, we'll release this, we'll put this out, if we can make it happen. And for what I've read is probably not ever going to happen, which sucks.
There's fans online trying to get a Snyder cut of this shit.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
I'm one of them. I want to see these other versions.
If you're a werewolf movie fan, which, by the way, it started in the end of 24, but Werewolf World is going to be, I think werewolf movies are going to be the big thing in 25 based on what I'm seeing. It seems like werewolves are like the next phase to come back.
Well, and the thing was, the studio wanted this as a PG-13 movie, which is what got released to the theaters, was a watered-down PG-13 film. And the version which I think ended up being like the third version of this film, second or third version of this film, and it was a PG-13 film that was released, and that is the one that most people have seen. I watched the unrated version,
which is what I watched.
You watched that,
Yeah.
So, and I had seen
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's not much, but I'll be honest with you, it makes a difference.
It's just gore.
It's
stuff,
just
though.
gore. It's just gore.
Because you don't have gore in the original.
It's the same cut of the film, but with more gore, and that 2 or 3 minutes is extra makes the difference. And I will just right here, if you want to watch Cursed, the version to watch is the unrated version. It is better.
Before we even talk about the drama that happened in filming and post, Wes Craven, he turned this down initially. He wanted nothing to do with this film. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And Bob Weinstein, Harvey and Bob, we all know about the drama there. Bob Weinstein pulled the project that Wes Craven was working on to make him available because he knew he had time, and he kind of forced him to do it. So Wes Craven, he's not a half-ass kind of guy. He put the work in. He tried to make this work, and he tried to do everything he could. So I got to give credit there too, because this is one of those instances where his hand was forced. He did what he could, and we didn't get the superior product, but we got an okay product.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm one of those. I'm gonna say it a lot probably through this episode. I wish I could see what could have been, even in a rough cut. That's me. But
because at the end of the day, like, the cut we got was not bad. It was not bad.
But I would love to see what Wes Craven's vision was.
So, what's the boyfriend? What's his name? The actor's name?
I want to say it's
Isn't he from like Dawson's Creek or some shit?
He is from Dawson's Creek.
Well, anyways, that character was supposed to be Skeet Ulrich. So that was kind of where I was going with that. So that would have been more impressive to me because I didn't think that he did a bad job, but Skeet Ulrich, he definitely has that more of that vibe that would have filled that better, I feel.
Because he was in Dawson's Creek. He was in The Skulls, and his name is...
I'm going to feel like a jackass because
I am too. Joshua Jackson.
That's right.
I kept wanting to say Jason Jackson, and I knew it was Jackson, but yeah.
So I'm going to take a second. I'm going to talk about the cast because there's a lot going on with this cast, and I'm a fan of the cast. Love-hate fan of the cast, should we say. Christina Ricci. So
love.
She's gorgeous. She's awesome. She definitely made it better. I like that as her wolf side starts kicking in. I love that she becomes more alluring and more sexy. Her hair's down all of a sudden. She's throwing it behind her neck. She's got an aura. Scott Baio is drawn towards her. But so she does an okay job, but she still, to me, it's weird when I see her act and she's not being directed in a better direction. She automatically like reverts to Casper. She just always plays the girl from Casper the Friendly Ghost.
I can see that.
And so that bothers me because I don't look at her as a little kid anymore. I look at her as an adult who's very attractive, and that just sucks. But I want to give her credit because if you haven't seen it, this is a recommendation. I have not seen the new season that just came out, but I've seen the seasons all prior.
Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets is excellent. The wife was watching the first season, and I walked in the room, and I just see the show about a group of chicks in the woods, and I'm like, no, not for me. It's a bunch of chicks just bitching about things in life, and like thinking that was it. Boy, was I fucking wrong. Such a good fucking show. So many twists and turns. I digress. Jesse Eisenberg, though, really cannot stand. I'm sorry if you like him. I can't stand this dude. He has got to be one of the worst actors I've ever encountered. Young, old, and he looks. When he played Lex Luthor, he looked like fucking. What was the dude's name from Deep Space Nine? The alien. It was like not Frodo, but it was like Photo or some weird dude.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he just isn't. He's not an appealing dude. And I did say Lex Luthor, so I want to rewind there. There's 2 fucking Lex Luthors in this movie.
Well, before we move to the second Lex Luthor,
the uncredited Lex Luthor,
Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh boy,
I like Jesse Eisenberg, but I like his films. I like his indie films.
Okay.
Like I think he has so like the film Adventureland that he did with it was him and Ryan Reynolds. Loved that fucking movie. American Ultra was him and Walton Goggins. I fucking loved that movie. There's a lot of these little indie films that he did that they're just so fucking good. But then once you get to The Social Network and some of this other stuff that he got really popular for, it was like I get why people hate on him. I don't mind him in this, but he's not the best thing about it either.
He's Mark Zuckerberg in every role. That's the problem.
But if I recommend those two movies specifically. Go check out American Ultra and Adventureland, and then kind of paint a different picture on Jesse Eisenberg. And he has a catalog of other films, indie films, that are just even better.
There's one film that just intrigued me that I can't remember the name for the life of me, but it's essentially him and his significant other are trapped in a like model of a home community, and all the houses are the same, and they're there by themselves.
I can't think of what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that seemed interesting. But moving forward, Judy Greer.
I thought we was going to talk about Lex Luthor too.
Well, I'll get there too.
Okay.
But Judy Greer, I want to talk about her. So she plays Joni in this. And Joni, the character of Joni is literally the same exact bitchy Karen type person from 13 Going on 30 when she was in that movie. And yes, I know that movie because I have 2 daughters and a wife. So I unfortunately had to watch it. Not horrible, but I wouldn't run to it. But then I found out, I didn't realize she was Dr. Plimpton Big Bang Theory. She plays Cheryl in fucking Archer. I didn't know that was her voice. So I was kind of like, oh, all right, whatever. Judy, I'll forgive you. Shannon Elizabeth.
Shannon Elizabeth.
I was very happy she was in this.
American Pie.
Just her and Christina Ricci alone. It was great for those purposes alone. But Shannon went out so quick. I know she was just figuring out her career, but God, that sucked. But that definitely helped build the story. And then I just want to talk about the little cameos. So Nick Offerman was in this. He was an officer in the background. Scott Baio was himself. Craig Kilborn. Craig Kilborn to me always looks like Josh Holmes from Queens of the Stone Age. So
I thought the same thing.
Freaks me out, dude.
I was like,
is that Josh Holmes? Oh wait, it's Craig.
Yeah. I stopped for a minute and I was like, oh wait, no, that actually is.
So I do want to talk about that scene for a minute too. So there's because she works directly for Craig Kilborn on the Late Late Show, and they're trying to get Scott Baio on the show, and all these things are happening. So as he's getting ready to go out on the show, he cuts his finger, and he's like, "What am I going to do with this? Give me a Band-Aid." He's like holding his finger up, and he's got blood running down it. And she already has been infected by the werewolf, but doesn't know what instigates it. So she like literally throws his finger in her mouth and sucks the blood off his finger. And all of a sudden she starts wolving out a little bit, and she has to leave the set. But it was a really hot scene. It was definitely a good scene. Hold on, I'll let you go in a sec. Milo.
I was going to say Milo.
Milo's from Heroes and This Is Us, primarily known for those. Amazing. I laughed a little bit.
I love him in this movie, though.
How it unfolds with him.
Yeah.
I was here for it. And then, Michael Rosenblum.
My favorite Lex Luthor.
So here's a fun fact. I only watched a couple seasons of Smallville. I didn't finish it.
I watched start to finish as it aired. I'm a massive fan.
I am going back, and I'm going to be watching those because I definitely want to see it again. Because after I saw the Doomsday in Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois. Come on, Ryan.
Yeah.
Anyways, after I saw that, now I want to go back and see the other ones with that.
Yeah, and the other one is played by, who plays Doomsday in Smallville. Really?
I haven't gotten that far. I didn't watch the whole thing. Remember?
You don't want me to spoil that for you because it's an actor you love.
Who is it?
Star Killer.
Really? Okay.
Sam
Witwer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, Michael Rosenbaum. And
speaking of werewolf movies and shows, Sam Witwer was in Being Human. Hell yeah, dude.
And
that was amazing. And
I love Being Human, the British version and the American version.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But Michael Rosenbaum, he is my favorite Lex Luthor. I enjoy Michael Rosenbaum in this movie.
But I
listen to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. He has a great podcast.
I was convinced because the rewatch again, I was like, I know Joni is a werewolf. I know that one guy. Is he a werewolf too? When I first saw him again, because that kind of seemed like it would make sense because he's kind of stalking her a little bit. And he didn't end up being killed pretty quick. But I wanted to ask you, why is he uncredited in this? What was that about?
Michael Rosenbaum?
Yeah,
Was he uncredited?
He's uncredited in it. He is not.
Really?
Yeah, if you look in the IMDb, he's uncredited, and even says uncredited in the. If you look him up for Cursed, if you put Michael Rosenbaum Cursed in, and it says uncredited. So
yeah, he's not even shown in the top billed cast.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's uncredited.
I
didn't get
not notice that. Yeah, I have no clue on that.
Excuse me. Little other fun fact. 5 minutes 45 seconds in, Wes Craven gives a little love to Freddy. Freddy's in the background. That's all. He's still looking for.
Yeah, maybe Michael Rosenbaum just forgot he was in this film.
No, I think based on the interviews from the actors and the shit they all went through. My guess is he wanted no part to do with it, so he's removed himself from it, and that's why it says uncredited.
Maybe,
but I didn't know if you had a better answer.
No, I not noticed that and did not know. But yeah, that's crazy, and I don't think I read through a lot of stuff going into this episode. I knew a lot of stuff that had happened, but then I was reading, refreshing, and I never saw anything talking about him not being credited because it's not like a cameo either. He's in this fucking movie.
It got bad in the interviews. So like, there's different interviews with Greer and Jesse Eisenberg. Even I have his quote I wrote down. Jesse Eisenberg was asked directly what went wrong on set with it, and he goes, "Now that we have it behind us, the scenes of the Weinstein Company, it makes sense." Or wait, I did this last time. God damn it. Yes, I wrote very small. Basically, he said, now that we have everything behind us, he goes, the scenes, understanding the chaos that happened at the Weinstein Company, a lot of what's missing and what's not there makes sense and why it was a problem of a movie. He goes, I don't know what went wrong, but the company definitely was at fault. And he wasn't the only one that said that, though. Shannon Greer was interviewed. She said it. Christina Ricci said there's lots of problems in Hollywood. There's lots of problems with the company. It was just, they don't know what went wrong, and they had the highest of hopes for the movie. So.
Yeah, and they every interview I ever saw was basically, it wasn't Wes Craven. It was not Wes Craven's fault. It was the
actors all stuck up.
Yeah, it was the studio's fault. Now, did all this make this a bad movie? I don't think so. I think there's elements of this movie are bad because of it. I think Wes Craven's vision that we'll never get to see was probably leaps and bounds better, and may have possibly, we'll always wonder, but maybe possibly been the greatest werewolf movie ever made, but we'll never see it. This is the version we're going to always know and see. But it's not a bad werewolf movie.
What I did like about the unrated cut, so when Shannon Elizabeth's character got killed, she was literally torn in half.
And I wrote that in my American Pie girl, body in half, an unrated cut, way better than the PG-13 movie.
Yeah, because you can see like her entrails and the whole bit, and it was a definitely brutal scene. And that scene is when Jesse and Christina Ricci both get infected too, because that's when the wolf hits them, essentially scrapes them and bites. But here's the funny part: they have a dog, and the dog bites Jesse, gets Jesse's blood. I'm not saying their characters' names because I forgot, but gets his blood in the dog's mouth. And there's a scene where Jesse opens the steak and he's about to eat it raw, but then he gets pulled away and comes back, and his dog has stolen the steak off the counter. He's underneath the table, and he's like turns around and he slow looks at Jesse, and he starts growling, and
he wolfs out.
This thing turned into a fucking were-dog, and it was great. I appreciated that.
Yeah,
those little things are awesome.
Yeah. No, there's all kinds of little cool shit in this. I mean, you had the werewolf dog, and in that scene, the dog chases Jesse out of the house, and he's busting through doors, and Milo, how you say his name, from Heroes shows up, and he's been a bully through this whole film, basically calling Jesse gay and this and that throughout this whole film.
Are you talking about the wrestling scene?
Yeah.
Are you getting there?
Yeah. Well, he went through the whole wrestling scene, but then as he's coming after the dog's chasing him out of the house, Milo's on his doorstep.
And but you got to go backwards. So like to build this up, like Milo is that quintessential jock in high school, would make fun of everyone for being gay when he was a closet gay person. So he kept calling Jesse Eisenberg's character gay, gay, gay. That's why you are afraid to join the wrestling team, because you don't want people to realize that you're gay. And he's like pointing all these things on him. So Jesse has realized that he's got super strength and powers now. So, and he likes the girl that Milo's character is dating. And he shows up to the wrestling tryout, but he shows up more so just to mess with Milo's character. And all of a sudden, Milo turns the script and he goes, "Oh, coach, yeah, he was about to try out." And all of a sudden, Jesse has to try out, and he starts tossing all of the wrestling team like
superhuman tossing.
Yeah, but so okay, as somebody who wrestled in high school and was not that douche, but I wrestled in high school, we aren't allowed to do the moves he was doing. He was doing like crazy suplexes and shit, dropping them. But it was funny to watch because he was like owning them. So that night, Milo shows up.
He shows up at the doorstep as the werewolf dog is chasing Jesse out of the house, and he looks at Jesse's character. He's like, "How did you know?" You know, I guess he goes, "I guess it's true. It takes one to know one."
But Jesse goes, "No, I'm a werewolf," and he's like, "Shut up." No, really, I'm a werewolf.
He goes, "Really?" He goes, "I'm not gay. I'm a werewolf."
He tries to kiss him.
But then I wrote this quote down. He goes, "Oh, so you're gay, cool, yay, go gay." Yeah. The whole scene is fun, and I love how they just kind of become friends in this little bonding moment of him coming out to him as being gay, and Jesse being like, "Look, I don't care if you're gay. It's cool. You know, it's fine." It's a fun scene, and then the dog breaks through the final door, and they have to get into the car and take off.
Definitely was good. And then they're like besties afterwards, and to the point where at the end, Milo brings his ex-girlfriend that he's told he's gay, brings her to the house to talk to Jesse, and they all walk home together. So weird.
Yeah.
But
and the practical, you said at the beginning, the practical effects are so good in this.
When they're using them.
When they use them.
Do you know who was hired originally to do the practical effects?
No.
The guy from The Howling. So he was.
That's right. I did know that.
He was brought on. So they brought the guy from The Howling on, and I heard a little snippet of an interview with him, and he was brought on, and his one condition was, he goes, "Not Wes, not the studio, no one. You guys let me do what I do, and we're good." And I guess they got through the cuts with all of this stuff, and then they didn't say anything to him, booted him, and brought in somebody else, and that person took over. So that's where we see some of his practical effects, is my guess. Mm-hmm. But the CGI, the transformation, I was so disappointed in.
That's where I was going.
Oh man, it was so bad.
Yeah, like it's them doing the CGI in this was so bad. Like,
I put poor in my notes. I put poor CGI wolf transformations. Next line, I put poor CGI in general.
Yeah, I wrote CGI sucks. Should have kept practical.
Yeah.
And then down further, horrible CGI transformation. Like, it's pretty consistent. Like, I don't want to sit here and say that it kills the movie for me, because it doesn't. But man, what this movie could have been had they just used practical effects. The whole thing, it would have looked so, because the practical effects that are there look so much better than the CGI.
If the studio had not fought Wes Craven as much as they did, geez Louise, if they had not fought him as much as they did and kept pushing back on him, I think we would have gotten a much more superior product for sure. But what we did get was definitely, it wasn't the par of Scream, but I feel like with the casting, the time that it was filmed, you had kind of a two-line walk, right? So Wes Craven was good at like bringing multiple eras together. You had a younger kid in high school with a younger brother, and Christina Ricci's character who's working in the workforce, and she's in her 20s, and so you've got 20s and high school together, and it makes for a good vibe the way that, because you've got a high school cast going on, you've got these people working in the real world. It all worked. It meshed for what was there. Meanwhile, the whole underlying thing that's happening is Jackson's character, who ends up, we find out he's the main werewolf.
The head werewolf.
But
and I'm going to present a few questions in a minute. Go ahead.
But I was just gonna say we find out he's the head werewolf, but before we find that out, the whole premise of the movie does revolve around a grand opening of a nightclub called Tinsel, and in Tinsel they have all these horror setups that are all props, replicas, whatever they have.
Almost looks like a wax museum.
Yeah,
kinda.
It looks like a wax museum, but more dedicated to horror specifically, and it was done. It was pretty cool looking, honestly. But the way that all pans out into the room of mirrors, all that, it was. I was not put off in any way about what we got.
No, the final act, like going into like all that with the mirrors and the horror setup in this club was like, I thought it was great. I mean, the whole final act with how everything looked and other than the CGI it was working. The vibe was working. I got a couple things that I wrote down that I was like, I wonder. I know people have noticed this, and I have questions, and I want to see if you picked up on them. In the final act, Michael Rosenbaum's character says, the chaos is kind of is right before the chaos ensues with everybody getting out of the club, and Christina Ricci's character comes up to Michael Rosenbaum, and they're talking, and she's looking for her brother, and Michael Rosenbaum randomly says, Kilborn bailed on me. Like just throwing it out there. And so I wrote, assuming this was a line drop to say why he wasn't there for reshoots. That's my assumption. Because why would you just Kilborn bailed on me? It never showed Kilborn there. It was just like,
right.
So I'm wondering if they did that to say like, hey, we're throwing this line in here to say why we don't see Kilborn anymore in this film, you know. Did you catch that?
I did catch it, but I don't know if I read that much into it. But at the same time, with the way the reshoots happen, anything's possible. So
yeah. So this is another thing, and this goes with reshoots too. Jesse Eisenberg's hair. At the beginning of the movie, his hair is like really curly at the very beginning of the movie. Then after that, first little bit of the movie, his hair's straight. But then, once there's some scenes more towards the end of the movie where his hair's straight, but it looks like he's wearing a wig. So I was like, is all this because of reshoots?
Or the wig could be because of the whole werewolf thing. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Like it.
Now, I do know that this movie took years to film.
It did. So I'm assuming that this is reshoots.
Yeah. So I mean, if the wig came into play, that could be a thing. So
yeah, and the curly hair to straight hair, I was like, I wrote reshoots question mark.
I just want to know if Corey Feldman's character was a frog brother.
I hope. I mean, they teased, even though that was after this film, but they teased in that third Lost Boys. They were setting up werewolves, And
I watched the second Lost Boys, and I watched the third.
You didn't watch the third?
No.
I like the sequels. Now I like them for shitty films.
Yeah.
And I like the third one better than the second one because it's even shittier, but it's shittier in a really fun way. So this is my other question because I didn't see explained in this, and this is talking about the very end of the movie. The head werewolf when they kill him, because the werewolf lore, you kill the one that bit you, it can cure you.
Isn't it the head wolf? Because they thought they thought Joni was the head wolf until she lived.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, they kill Joni, and her body's there. She de-transforms back to her from her werewolf form to her normal body. And this is my question. So
I have a question here too. This is great.
So she dies. She goes back to her normal human body. So we get to the end of the movie where Jackson's character comes in. They kill him, the head werewolf, and he burns up into flames and
I can tell you
destroys. Why. And then I wrote, why did he burn up but the other girl didn't? Not explained, did not catch it. Lost Boys rules, question mark.
Well, he was born as a wolf.
Okay.
She was not. That's my theory there.
But was that explained?
Yes, because he said he was born like that.
I know that was said, but the way did they die? Was it explained that he dies differently?
I mean, no, but that's why else would there be a difference? That to me.
Or are we just doing Lost Boy rules that all of them go differently?
I mean,
yeah,
that
this
could
is my
be.
question.
I think it's just because he was born with it versus being bit. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, that was one. That was like my big thing. I was like, why does he burn up? I've never heard an
My question
explanation
is,
on this.
why did the dots on their hands all rotate in different positions? So they all had 5 dots in their hand that formed a
For the
pentagram that
pentagram.
showed the mark of the beast. And on all the characters, when you see the hands, it was all they'd be different formations and different positions. So
Have another shitty movie that I'm going to talk about.
Shocker.
Have you ever seen the film Curse of the Queer Wolf?
No. But you have, JP. You have.
I have. So this is a movie, and I think this movie came out in the 80s. And at one point, it was available on Tubi. You could watch this on Tubi. So if you're interested with after what I described, go check it out. It was on Tubi. Curse of the Queer Wolf. So
I just want to stop you right here and just say, JP, if you're trying to tell us all something, I still got your back. You're still my boy. You're still my friend.
So you get bit by a queer wolf. You turn into a queer wolf. So this guy gets bit by a queer wolf. Also, the only way to kill a queer wolf is with a silver dildo in the ass. Yes, this movie exists.
In the actual fuck.
But the signs of when you're turning into a queer wolf was, instead of a pentagram that shows up in your hand, a pansygram shows up in your hand.
What the fuck is a pansygram?
And your hand goes limp.
I'm gonna have to tell.
This movie
son about
exists,
this.
guys, and it's shit. But man, it has one of the greatest transformation scenes you'll ever see. So yeah,
so many questions. I'm just gonna let that one be.
you're just gonna have to watch it.
I do have a question back to Joni's death scene though. So my thought is, this is how my brain works. It's horrible. So the cops all saw her as a werewolf. They all killed her dead ass as a werewolf, blew her brains out, and it worked. I mean, they said you had to decapitate it, but the brains worked. The cop supervisor, the manager, whatever, the main cop, he comes in and they're like, you got to see this thing. You got to see this thing. You go over, pull the body bag thing back, and she's transitioned back to a woman. The cop is like, wait, what? So like, how are they going to write that in the report? I guess is where I'm going. Like, did they all have mass hallucination? Is this not a real thing? Like, what just transpired? Because it just looks like they just killed a woman.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the next day, like, we fucked up kind of scenario. Yeah. So I thought about that too, but then I got stuck on why did he burn up, and
I instantly, that was the first thing I thought, was just because he was born like that. But if you do Lost Boys rules, like you said, they all are different.
Some go quietly.
Dude, so those are some of the best goo scenes ever, too, by the way, when they would just explode.
Yeah. Well, the brains rolling out of her head were
nice and clumpy.
Yeah, it was pretty like, ugh.
We're too desensitized because we're talking so freely and candidly about this like it's nothing.
Budget and box office.
All right, Wes Craven got delayed a lot. Recast, reshoot. Now, is this the original budget or is this the budget with them going over?
This is just the budget that's given. It just says estimated.
So we got, what was this? 2005. I'm going to go 67 mil.
You're a bit high. It's 38 million is the budget.
Okay.
Box office.
Let me ask this question before I answer. Did it do well?
No.
Okay. 45 mil.
You're a little high.
Not yet.
You want me to give you?
No, go ahead. You didn't catch that.
Oh. No, we can't be doing that again. U.S., it made a little over 19 million.
Okay.
Worldwide, it made 29.6 million on a $38 million budget.
Yikes.
Yeah, so it did not make its money back.
So that explains the interviewers' questions that are asking all the interviews, like what went wrong with this movie, because that seemed to be the bulk of the questions that most of these actors were getting. What went wrong with this movie? Because it's really not a bad movie.
Yeah, and most of them would say everything went wrong with it, But the movie itself isn't that bad. If you can look past the shitty CGI the studio made them do, the movie's not that bad, and it's even better with that extra. What was it, 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes, 2 minutes 20 seconds
of blood and gore that's added in the unrated version, and stay away from that PG-13 version. I mean, 2.5 minutes. It's not long, but 2.5 minutes can make a difference in a lot of gore.
2.5 minutes is just perfectly fine with the amount of time it is.
Yeah, because
okay.
Yeah,
my wife says I'm okay. Anyways,
but it's long enough to add enough gore to where it's like, okay, this is so much better than the PG-13 version.
What would be your quintessential werewolf movie? What is your favorite werewolf movie?
Oh, we've talked about this.
You didn't tell them.
Oh no, we've talked about this in previous episodes, but I'll gladly do it again.
Yeah,
it is and will always be American Werewolf in London.
I'm The Howling, but
I like The Howling, but American Werewolf in London.
I give American Werewolf in London's great, but then I would say up there as well be Silver Bullet. I like that too.
I like Silver Bullet, and I like the Wolfman remake, the
Benicio
del Toro one. I haven't watched the new one, so I don't have an opinion of the new one. I've heard good things, but I don't have an opinion of the new one.
I think I gotta look and see. I might have a copy of that. Yeah,
bootleg one.
I don't deal in bootleg or illegal things. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I might get to see it in the theaters. Is what I meant. I don't know why I said it like that.
I mean, these walls of movies that we have, like
yeah, everywhere.
So we do buy a lot.
All right, ratings. All right, your film. So I'll go first. For me, oh wow, this one's rough because it's not a bad movie at all. So I don't want to.
It's not a bad movie. It just has its problems, because of studio interference.
The studio interference is ridiculous, and then I also like as JP was talking about, and what I found out as well. The drama behind the movie is more intriguing than the movie itself. So I would like to see what that product might have been. So I'm going to play this one safe. I'll go 3.75 on this one. Because it is one of those movies you can put on and watch over and over and not be upset by. Is it perfect? No. There's there flaws in it? Yes. But overall, it withstood the test of time. I mean, we're 20 years later and it held up. So.
Okay, so we're not going to be too far off on this one. I mean, I think our past couple episodes our numbers have been kind of substantially different. We've had kind of different opinions. I think this one we kind of had the same opinions. The CGI is awful. Some of the CGI on the dog it looked bad, but it wasn't as bad as the actual werewolf CGI.
No, transition was the bad part. Yeah,
and the transitioning into the werewolf was awful. The practical effects, when they're used and when you can see them, fucking amazing, and you can definitely tell that they had a really good fucking special effects guy. I enjoyed the story. Again, you've heard me say it multiple times. I would love to see the actual original Wes Craven vision of this film. I hope maybe someday some footage pops around and they's like, hey, we can do this, but right now that's not looking possible. So this is the film we're reviewing. This is one that I've seen for years. I would say the unrated version, again, that's the one you watch. The cast, I enjoy the cast, even though now that I know that Michael Rosenbaum is not credited, even though he's in the fucking movie, not even as a cameo, upsets me a little bit. I'm going to dive down to figure out why now that he's pointed that out. I enjoy the cast, and I love Christina Ricci. You guys, I've talked about this in the past. She's like my childhood crush and my adult crush.
Land the plane.
And I will get there when I want to. I love this movie, though.
You are passionate about it.
I love this movie. I wish that the special effects were better. If the special effects were better, this movie would be well into the 4s for me. If they had kept at least the practical effects, this would probably be a 4.5 for me, because I generally do love this film. As it sits with the CGI issues and stuff, I still love the movie. I'm sitting it at under a 4 at a 3.9.
All right. 3.9 nerds, 3.75 nerds. I think those are solid ratings overall.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get into the between 4 and 5, then you're looking at a movie that's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, I think if people, if you haven't watched a werewolf movie and you've not seen, if you're a fan of watching werewolf movies and you've not seen this one, I recommend watching it. It's a good one.
Coolio. Where can they find some of our upcoming things that are coming up?
Our upcoming episodes?
Yes.
Or I believe that place is called, and right here. I'm trying to look at the cameras. There it is, right here. You're going to see a little line. If you're watching the video version of this, it says CineNerdsPodcast.com. You go there. We got our schedules there. We got our episode links. We have links to our shop. We have bios. We have written reviews. So, yeah, check it out.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, we're your CineNerds. You guys have a good one. Peace.
Later.